time from the industry. The CEO or the board of directors see the bottom line and they say we can cut costs here. And don't realize that the information systems that the organization has is literally its nervous system. You can outsource your digestive system, and if you're a cow, you do a lot of it, by the way. No, I'm serious. But you do not find any animal that outsources its nervous system or its brain. When you do see it, then you have parasites. And the animal ends up being dead. If you go through an organization and you see that they're outsourcing without knowing what they're doing, outsourcing their information systems, without understanding what it's all about, don't buy their stock. Literally, don't buy their stock. Because they will find it extremely hard to bring the software back in-house again. What typically happens when companies outsource it, the vendor takes over some of the key personnel in the client company. They take them over because they need to get up to speed very quickly, and that's the way you get up to speed very quickly. But they also take them over because it's a road of no return. Because the client doesn't own the knowledge anymore afterwards, and they can't bring the software back in-house. And in many cases of companies that I know personally, where they are in a problem because they have this enormous bulk of code. Do you guys study COBOL anymore?
No.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, if you go into one of the larger companies along Market Street down here, you'll see that a lot of them still use COBOL from the 1960s and 70s. The reason they still use COBOL from the 1960s and 70s is because nobody knows what the code does. And you don't touch it because it's too dangerous. And if you outsource, you're in an even worse position because those who actually might have known something don't work for you anymore. Outsourcing is a disaster in the industry. Some things make perfectly good sense. Okay? If you want to outsource your email services, do it. Brilliant idea. You don't want to have your own disk drives, half of your own emergency backup. Yeah, go outsource it. Plenty of good companies, Salesforce, Microsoft, IBM, Google, you can just buy disk space as much as you want. It's cheaper, it's say more reliable. Rather, 2 days ago, I'm not certain about it anymore, but it's usually more reliable.
Oh, yeah.
But if it's anything which is not totally standardized, again, if you can't define your SLA, your service level agreement, down to last iota, and you know exactly what you want and how to measure it, you don't outsource. I mean, think about it, in your life, the people that you trust because they are certified. When you trust your doctor and you trust your dentist, because if they make a mistake, they will lose their license, because they have a state license. We don't have a license for software vendors. We do have something called CMMI, but believe me, it's not really what it's made out to be. You don't have it. You don't trust the vendor, you don't work with them. Take the course with outsourcing. I'll teach you a lot about trust and what about the brain circuitry of trust also. It is really that simple. Okay? If you know what you want, you can outsource. If you don't know what you want, and usually when it comes to information systems, you don't know what you want, because even if you think you know what you want, the fantastic thing about information systems is that if they are good, they keep on evolving. You never finish with a good project. You always keep on developing more and more features to it. You always augment what you have right now. By the way, managing that process is MIS. You outsource, you shoot yourself in the foot. You can't develop the software anymore. Because every change is a new fixed price contract. Expensive. Because you can't negotiate, because they know what you don't about your own software. And you're at a great disadvantage after that. So yes, you have to realize those things. Right? And software is great, okay? But when you develop software in an organizational context, the key thing about your software is its integration. fact, what you'll find that sales will tell you over and over again is that the hardest thing about developing new software is integrating it into the existing systems. Which is why, by the way, outsourcing is very problematic, because they don't know the entire system. And they're not paid to know the entire system. But that's where the hard part is. You've probably been taught about the 80-20 rule about developing software. It takes 20% of the time to develop 80% of the code, and 80% of the time to finish the last 20%. Well, that's when it comes to just a computer science perspective. When it comes to an information systems perspective, i.e. people using the software in an organizational context, it's not 80-20, it's 95-5. Is that integration, or that standardization of your current software into the existing system, which takes most of the time, which is where most of the problems are, which is where most of where the need to manage your relationship with your clients, and by the way, to calm down your own programmers when they lose their temper, is where your ability as a project manager comes into play. That's why you want to take MI. Other questions? Oh, by the way, yes, it is recognized in your program as an elective that you can take. So it's not a problem there. Yeah, I'm telling you, I spoke to him. The reason I'm here is because I can visit Jeremy, and it's a good idea. And he thinks the same way I do. So that's why. Yeah.
What kind of elective does it count as? General education, or free, or CS elective?
It counts as CS.
CS elective?
Sweet. It still has to be 300 plus.
That you will have to ask Jeremy, because I can't answer for it. But if Nate says so, he probably has his sources.
I think so. I'm not sure. I assume it would fall under that. Andrew would probably be actually the right person.
Yeah, well, Nate's life. And career. Okay, great.
Other general questions? I just told you that what your love of your life is not the most important thing in the world. And you're not attacking me for it. It's not. Realistic person. Yeah, let me tell you, no, in truth, computer sciences is probably the most fun degree that there is. I mean, if you're good at it, it's the best course for you.
I guess now looking into the future, my current job, we do a lot with business intelligence. We're trying to design proper business intelligence solutions.
Business we have that also in the decision science department. Okay. So look at the electives over there also.
Okay, because it's like a nightmare right now. And supposedly we're our own leaders. Huh? This designing is that, and the problem is, and then dealing with BAs who don't understand proper workflow and like to get their hands dirty. They shouldn't.
It is. You see, what happens is when you develop software, is that unless you have a good programmer who is also socially capable, of playing soccer with the users after the work hours, you don't have such a person. The result is that you don't see things the same way they do. But it's the users who are using your software. And you have to understand their mindset. Now you have to be a systems analyst to develop the software correctly for them. So although if you didn't take computer science, you don't know how to develop the software, an extra component to it, that it's developed for what they need, in the way that they think, which is not the way you think. Because you are cleverer than them, because you are computer scientists. I'm not joking. It's different. No, I'm serious. Okay? Most people, when they go to an organization, they follow the workflow. This is what you do, step by step by step by step by step. I bet none of you around here do so. How many of you actually follow the regulations step by step and not try to improvise, get things done a bit better?
What regulations?
Precisely. It's a computer science's mind. No, I'm serious. You think outside the box. You can't be a good programmer by just following rules.
Right.
Okay? Most people would rather follow rules. Okay? You think different. Because you build systems. You don't just use them. Coming from a true computer science guy himself. Okay?
One of the things I've run into is a project manager who just, they try to assign an exact number of minutes to each chunk of code. You know,
Oh,
so it's like
God.
you have 4.3 minutes to develop this thing. And
Taylorism has been dead since the 1920s.
yep.
Apparently not.
You can't manage, no, you can't. What you are doing is extremely creative. Besides, you can't measure you,
Right.
because the cost is not in writing the code, the cost is in debugging the code.
Yep.
Can't think about it. But they'll only pay you for writing the code.
The guy did not take MIS, so what can I tell you?
No, I just, I've run into that at a rather large financial institution around here.
So they're treating you like they would treat finance guys, but you are not a regular employee. You are the creator of software. It is a different world entirely.
Where my beret.
I'll tell you, I'll finish with a joke in a moment.
At my current work, we use Scrum, and we've got like distributed teams over 3 time zones, and it's very, I'd label it as hectic. What's your opinion of Scrum and dealing with distributed teams, and also just Scrum in general as a?
Well, I'm not familiar with that specific software package.
However, it's a design methodology. It's under that
Okay.
Agile. It's similar to
Right.
Agile, where you.
We have a software package that you manage for, you know, the thing.
Well, yeah, we use.
So, managing distributed teams, extremely hard, extremely complicated, especially if they're not just in groups. I mean, I will tell you, the first thing you want to do, if you can, you should have them play basketball together. No, I'm serious. You can't imagine how that breaks down barriers between groups. If they're in different places, around the world even, it is extremely hard. You really need somebody who can be a kindergarten teacher. Literally stroke them into doing what she wants them to do. It is that hard, yes. And it's not a matter of the methodology. That's the easy part of it. Not a matter of how to distribute the work, how to plan to distribute the work. That's the easy part. It's how to get the people to work together. So they want to work together as a team, which is a hard thing, especially when they happen to be programs. And each one think they can do things much better and not follow the agreed upon design of a system, which we systems analysts and we the systems designers put into place before you started working. And you think you can take shortcuts, not realizing what the cost is going to be afterwards.